Good afternoon. I'd like to call the March 8th Planning and Zoning Commission to order. If you would please stand with me for a moment of silent prayer and the pledge. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We do not have minutes. Is that correct, Aaron? Okay. Moving on to the public comment section. If anyone has a public comment on an item that is not on the agenda this evening, each item will have a separate time for a public comment. Does anyone have any public comments not related to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll close that. Move on to the first item of business. Change of zoning on the Kelly Park property from transitional to Kelly Park Interchange, Kelly Park Investments LLC, Gavin Land Services LLC, and Hairskip LLC, Paulus and Bennett LLC.
He's trying to give him some room up here.
Good evening, Planning Commissioners. Phil Martinez, Planner 2 with the City's Planning Division. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from Transitional District to Kelly Park Interchange District mixed use with a neighborhood overlay and a transition overlay, along with a master plan. The subject properties are highlighted in yellow and comprise of 205.07 acres. The surrounding area consists of residential and agricultural properties, along with Onditch Road to the north and Round Lake Road to the west. The properties are zoned Transitional District. In accordance with the Kelly Park Interchange Form-Based Code, the applicant is requesting the MU KPI zoning. The subject properties have mixed-use future land use, which is compatible with the proposed MU KPI zoning. The master plan depicts 670 single-family lots with 52-foot wide front-loaded lots being depicted in yellow and 40-foot wide rear-loaded lots being depicted in orange. In addition, areas for 300 future multifamily units are located at the southern ends of the development. The future multifamily parcels will require a master plan amendment. Access to the site is proposed off of Onditch Road to the north and West Kelly Park Road to the south. The master plan also depicts 10 future access points throughout the development, which are depicted in these double arrow formations. The applicant has provided 40.81 acres of open space, where 39.83 acres are required. The open space includes 2 pools with restroom facilities located at these tracks, and a trail network that is depicted in orange going from West Kelly Park Road through the development around the Central Park area, as well as stub outs to the west, east, and up to Onditch Road. The Development Review Committee recommends approval of the proposed rezoning and master plan, and the recommended motion for this evening is to find the proposed change of zoning and master plan consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development code and compatible with the character of the surrounding areas, recommending approval of the proposed change of zoning from T, Transitional District, to MU KPI, Kelly Park Interchange District Mixed Use, and to assign the neighborhood and transition overlay districts, and to approve the master plan based on the findings and facts presented in the staff report and exhibits. This concludes my presentation, and I do believe the applicant has a presentation as well this evening.
Thank you. Is the applicant present?
I have questions of the,
staff.
Okay, sorry.
I have questions of the city.
Good.
Okay. It says, in the open space, it says retention. Is it retention or the detention? In other words, is it going to hold water or not? So it has a liner?
No, sir. When it's retention from the context, it doesn't discharge anywhere off-site. It will just go into there and infiltrate into the ground.
I understand that's a detention pond, not a retention pond.
Yeah,
So,
detention pond.
Mr. Hick would call it a dry pond, correct? That's what I usually call a dry pond. Yeah, so it really, it's a detention pond, okay, thank you.
Commissioner Washington?
This is for the city, if, Phil,
Yeah, I just got up to put on his presentation, but go ahead, ask away. Go ahead.
okay. All right, I have 4 questions. All right, number 1. In the modification request, number 2, it was asking for a modification, as I read it, instead of 12-foot ceilings, the modification would be 8-foot ceilings. And I'm just wondering, to me, an 8-foot ceiling is not a value add to me. And I'm just wondering why the DRC would support something like that.
Well, I prefer the applicant to address the modification, for modification 2.
Go ahead and ask the other questions. Let's see which ones we can answer and then go from there.
Okay, all right. And number 5, I just think this is probably, there's an error with the way a sentence was written. That's what I'm thinking. In the last sentence, it says, we'll have a greater setback throughout the master plan for the single-family buildings. Is that correct? Where's the word for? Should that be something else? It didn't make sense to me. I think I understand what you're trying to say, but,
Clarifies that the multifamily buildings will have greater setbacks.
yeah. Just read the sentence.
Whereas the multifamily buildings will have greater setback throughout the master plan for the single-family buildings, and still requires that the multifamily buildings provide a 100-foot buffer from single-family zone properties that are located outside of the master plan boundary. So
So wait a minute, so is it saying the single-family homes will have a greater setback?
it's
Is-
my understanding that it's for the multifamily buildings will have the 100 feet setback.
Okay. All right, number 3. Transportation. One thing that, this is a huge project, obviously, you have a lot of homes, a lot of folks living there. But with the traffic study, I thought it was interesting that it was, the analysis says there will be 7,653 daily trips and only 761 trips during the peak hours. Can you explain that to me? Why is it so much heavier during the daytime than at night? You see a lot of activity going in and out of this project during the daytime?
I'll have to defer that to the applicant.
Okay, so he's gonna come back to address that? All right. Now, I do understand that a lot of the traffic will be entering and exiting from Kelly Park Road, presumed just because 429 is down the street. People want to get to 429, and also there's Publix there, so I can understand that. In one of the other sentences, the analysis talks about, because of the amount of traffic that would be developing, you use the word fail. I don't want to assume what that means. Can you just clarify what fail means?
I'll have to defer that to the transportation consultant,
Yeah.
the applicant, yeah.
Okay, all right, those were my questions.
Any more questions of staff? All right. Hear the applicant. Sir, if you would please give your name and address for the record.
As soon as I can get him to the mic. There we go.
Okay, perfect. Great, thank you. All right, good evening. My name is Lance Bennett with Poulsen Bennett, representing the project. I have a short presentation. In summary, we concur with staff's recommendation, and we'll be here for questions, obviously. Let me just walk through this. I'll skip over some of it. A bit of it's duplicative of what Phil did, and he did a great job just explaining the project. Again, 205 acres, that's the rezoning master plan boundary. You're familiar with this. This is where it lays in context to the Kelly Park interchange.
Real quick, let me interrupt just to, you can see the concentric circle with the full diameter, but the radius that goes out into the properties in accordance with the Land Development Code, and it's also highlighted in our, in the comprehensive plan. If a property or a development that's a cohesive development touches another piece of property that's within that concentric circle, it can take the benefits of that form-based code going outside of that concentric circle. So it is in our land development code to allow for that, just in case you're wondering, because it does go out quite a bit.
All right, thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, good. Existing zoning, and Phil's covered this well. Okay, this is the master plan. And as Phil's mentioned, 670 single-family units, 300 multifamily units. And as Phil mentioned, this is the multifamily. And there are two different districts. One's a neighborhood district, one's a transition district. And Mr. Washington, this will go to your question about the height. So the transition district is this multifamily portion and a little bit in this corner of the single family. It's just the way the district's laid out. And we requested a reduction from the 12-foot to the 8-foot, which will encompass multifamily and some of the single-family rear-loaded product. And in consultation with our some of the builders that we've been speaking to, they thought, they don't build 12-foot ceilings. And so that's why we asked for the 8. We can look at, a little bit higher if we need to. But that was the genesis behind it, is both in the multifamily and in the single family, no one was building 12-foot height ceilings on the first floor. And that's what that alludes to.
Okay, so who was really pushing for the lowering of the ceilings? I think you probably said, I just couldn't hear you.
Pretty much
correctly.
every builder
Every
that's out there right now. We've got about 4 or 5 different apartment projects going right now. Not one of them is building 12-foot ceilings. They're all about the 8-foot mark right now.
Okay.
That's probably one of those things that I should probably amend in our next glitch amendment. So don't have to worry about that part again. Good question, though.
One area that I want to focus on, it did come up, is the center portion of the site. And that's going to serve multiple purposes. It's a big open space. As Phil mentioned, we have trails going around it. So the dashed line are the 10-foot trails that encircle it and are extending out to the north, south, east, and west property lines. Internal to the green space, we have these 2 main amenity areas, and I'm going to show a graphic representation of some concepts that we're currently working through. For context, this is A. The first one will be shown as A. And we got a play field, we've got a tot lot, a clubhouse, a pool, obviously parking areas, and then all of this area to the south of it is the preserve, the open space, mixed with, we'll have some stormwater areas within that as well. This is the southwest corner, and this is a large playfield, a dog park. Phil mentioned about the second pool and bathroom facilities, and obviously some off-street parking to accommodate that. And let me just go back again just for context. So the area we just looked at was right here. In this last area, at item C, is kind of a focal arrival amenity. And this has got a shade structure, a bench, just kind of an opening wow statement when you drive into the community. And then this is the 10-foot trail that will, again, encircles that whole open space. one of the areas that let me back up so you can, a little bit of context. We've incorporated a couple roundabouts into the community design. And those roundabouts serve as some focal areas along with calming traffic. And so this next area is right at this roundabout, the first roundabout that you would enter into. And we've got, some green space, park space on each side again to create that sense of arrival when you enter the community. This is another park space. This is in the area with the rear-loaded product. And so you would have a tot lot and again, a play field for the homes surrounding that area. Now on Kelly Park Road, this is our very southern, our access road. At the this is West Kelly Park Road. This is the main entry. And this is basically depicting, we're gonna have an entry sign with water feature element in this corner. So I'm available for any questions.
Okay, I had a question about the traffic.
Yes.
So, as I'm looking at it now, you have 7,653 daily trips and 761 peak hour trips. Is that 761 included in the 7,653? Just curious.
Yes, so, we have our traffic engineer here who can speak to the traffic, but just as a quick summary, one, you're talking about the daily trips, the 7,000 is the daily trips, and the 700 is the trips at night, the peak hour trips, which is a subset of the daily trips.
Oh, the subset, right, okay,
Yes.
the subset, okay. So I'm still wondering why you estimated such a high flow of traffic. It's huge. Even though you have a big project, I understand
Yeah.
that people could be moving around, but I'd like to hear how do you
I
get
will
to
let
that number?
Mohammed address that.
Good evening, Mohammed Abdallah, Traffic and Mobility Consultants, 3101 McGuire Boulevard. To answer the question, essentially it is that it's over a 24-hour period, the amount of traffic that's entering and exiting the site is estimated to be that 7,600. And if you want to look at it another way, it's each time you leave the house and you return, that's 2 trips. So more or less, when we're saying 7,000, that's 3,600 times in a day from all of these units and the commercial and everything that's in here. People are moving in and out of those driveways. So it's a large project, and not to confuse matters, but essentially, your typical house generates anywhere between 6 and 10 trips per day, depending on the house size. So that means 3 cars leaving and returning home at the 6 and 5 cars at the 10. So you go to the grocery store, come back, and then you go to work, or you go to work and then you go to grocery, whichever way you sequence your trips. That's how it's. So that's why the 7,000 is there. In the context of this type of development, it's not an excessive number. It's pretty standard for this size development. Now the 700, that's in 1 hour. That's the rush hour when everyone's returning home or everyone's heading to work, or that's concentrated.
Okay. Well, since you're talking about traffic, can you tell me why you use the word fail in some of these intersections? I can assume what that means, but I don't want to. Can you tell me what that means?
So yeah, it's we try not to use the word in describing it, but essentially what it means is there's a certain level of service threshold that's established where we like to see an amount of time that you're waiting to get through the intersection, and if you exceed that threshold, it's not that the intersection's locked. It's just that at that excessive threshold, then we say that's a failure and we need to address it by looking at improvements. So we mitigate those failures by adding lanes, by adding turn lanes, by changing if it's a stop sign, maybe it needs to be a signal, so things like that. So the word fail is there to raise a flag to say, okay, how are we mitigating that?
Okay, I see that also that the developer is willing to work with the city in improving the roadways
Correct.
in that little area, because I think everybody knows up there that area is, it's gonna become like New York City because of the different housing developments that are there and the ones that are coming up, and ones that you haven't told us about, DRC.
Yeah,
So it's
residential,
going to
the
be
commercial.
pretty heavy. But anyway, thank you.
No, absolutely.
And just so you know, Pam Richmond couldn't make it tonight, she had a previous engagement, but Pam is working with pretty much all the developers in regards to getting Kelly Park 4-laned in a large section of this as part of this project and a couple of the other projects. We did find out that the Rochelle Holdings property to the southeast of this did sell. They are not going out to auction, so that will also be part of another large development. She's already in negotiations for fixing up a couple of the roads and along with Kelly Park. So that'll be a big one. And we'll also do a presentation at the next Planning Commission meeting when we have all our members here, so that she can update you in regards to the transportation in Apopka.
Kelly Park Road, is that a county road or is that city road?
It's primarily county, but city does all the maintenance and does all the planning, I guess you could say, for it.
Is Pam working with the county to 4-lane this?
Yes.
And is she getting cooperation from the city?
From the, yeah,
From
as
the
much as
county?
we
From
can
the county?
count on, yeah. Yeah, it's primarily development driven, so in other words, we don't have the money to actually go in there and do all the improvements that are needed until we get enough people on board to help with that funding. But it is coming.
Any more questions? All right, we'll bring it back to the public comment center. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this issue? Sir, if you please come up and give your name and address for the record. We need you to come to the podium, sir. Sir,
You gotta come up.
sir, we need you to come to the podium, please. Yeah, we can hear.
It doesn't record good.
Brady Menton, 3808 Ondage Road, Apopka, Florida. My question was for probably this gentleman here is Ondage Road. What kind of traffic do you foresee on that during construction when I notice there's an entrance coming there? Is there anything going to be done with Ondage Road to accommodate the traffic?
They're also doing turn lanes there.
Okay.
The majority of the construction traffic will probably be coming from Kelly Park Road because that's going to be their primary entrance.
Okay, and then Effie Road will be involved in the,
They're actually looking to expand a couple of different phases going to the east towards Effie. And so those improvements will come with that phase. It's a
Okay.
future phase, but it's not part of this main.
yeah,
plan
our
right now.
concern was Ondage Road is it's a little 2-lane road that.
Yep.
And it's just 5-acre, 10-acre tracts there.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
what's gonna happen there with the traffic, everyday traffic? Obviously, it's gonna grow.
Correct,
But
yeah.
with construction, that was a concern.
Yeah, the majority of the traffic, like I mentioned, will probably come into the south. Mohammed could probably answer that a lot more than what I could because he did all the numbers for that part.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to, there you go.
I guess for the record, again, based on the traffic modeling that we've done, we're estimating 10 to 15% of the traffic would be on non-ditch. There are going to be improvements at the access points, as you heard, so where the driveways are, especially the primary driveway,
Right.
we'll be expanding the road to put in the turn lanes. So traffic will grow. The on-ditch road is projected to be under 10% of its capacity. So even though it's growing, it's still not going to be a congested roadway.
Okay.
It'll be well within capacity. You'll still have 90% capacity before it starts
Okay.
breaking down. So-
All right. That
Okay.
answered my question. Good to know. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is
Appreciate
there
it.
anyone else?
Thanks for coming out.
Seeing none? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were on the way out. Your name and address for the record, sir, please.
My name is Paul Holmes. I live at 5807 Round Lake Road, Apopka. My property is on Round Lake Road, but directly borders the western boundary of this proposed development. And in looking at the development plans, apparently there's no requirement for buffering from adjacent properties. And I'm just asking for some consideration that maybe a contingency be put on for approval, that there be either security fencing or landscape buffering around the, at least the western edge. I know the eastern edge is mostly open field, but we've got, there's at least probably half a dozen homes that are estate type, bigger properties that are affected. In the past, we've had issues with theft and people coming in off of Ondich Road into the backside through the woods and up into the property. So we're a little bit concerned about security, especially with this many more homes being bumped up right against our property, which used to be just cow pasture. So I know that the code doesn't necessarily require it, but I know the council could request that as a concession from the developer. And I think that would be a good gesture towards the people that live there and have lived there for over 40 years to give them some sort of protection. I'm more concerned about the security than I am about the buffering for my particular property, because my back end of my property is all woods, but I'm concerned about people coming through the development into my property, and as we've experienced without any density out there, I think just the opportunity for that to become more of a crime issue is accelerated. So that's my request, that be put into the formal minutes and see what that can be done for a concession from the developer for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Holmes, we will provide a fence on that common property boundary.
Okay, I noticed that folks at Kelly Park, they've done it there, they didn't necessarily have to. They did a pretty nice job of fencing the perimeter and screening, landscaping where the rough fence, right up against.
Yes, sir. Along that western property line, we will provide a fence.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on up.
Your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Teresa Ward. I'm from 3951 West Kelly Park Road. My question is, I don't understand clearly, will all of West Kelly Park Road be a 4-lane road? And if so, does that take property away from my land?
It's-
Traffic engineer.
It only gets 4 lanes when you dedicate it. We don't
So
normally,
as an owner,
we don't
I would
normally
have to
take it.
dedicate it?
If you develop your property, yes.
Okay.
But if you don't develop your property, then it pretty much stays status quo.
And then there won't be a 4-lane in front of it?
Very possibly not.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else need to speak on this matter? If not, I will close the public discussion, bring it back to the board for discussion. Okay, need a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we find the proposed change of zoning and master plan consistent with the Comprehensive Plan and Land Development Code and compatible with the character of the surrounding areas, recommending the approval of the proposed change of zoning from T Transitional District to MU KPI Kelly Park Exchange or Kelly Park Interchange District Mixed Use, and to assign the neighborhood and transition overlay districts, and to approve the master plan based on the findings and facts presented in the staff report and exhibits.
Have a motion by Commissioner Norwood. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Washington. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The second item is a special exemption, the MAQ Commerce Center, to approve a special exemption to allow automotive service station in the Community Commercial District, zoning district for property located at 803 North Park Avenue. Owner is Investment Group Management LLC, applicant Rob Manzor Investment Group Management LLC.
The applicant is proposing a special exception for an automobile service station or also known as a gas station at 803 North Park Avenue. The subject property is highlighted in yellow and located east of North Park Avenue and north of East Sandpiper Street. The property is currently zoned CC, Community Commercial District, which requires a special exception for an automobile service station. The concept plan depicts an automobile service station, laundromat, and retail office space comprising of 20,942 square feet. Future development of buildings will require a development plan review. The applicant has provided perimeter, vehicular, and foundation landscaping. The landscaping includes magnolias, elms, and viburnums. The applicant has also provided architectural elevations for the automobile service station as well as the retail office spaces. The Development Review Committee recommends approval of the proposed special exception for an automobile service station. And the recommended motion for this evening is to approve a special exception to allow an automobile service station in the Community Commercial District, CC zoning district, for property located at 803 North Park Avenue. This concludes my presentation, and the applicant and I are happy to address any questions that you may have.
Anyone have any questions of staff?
Phil, are they renovating the existing buildings as well?
Larry Polliner, RCE Consultants, 617 Arvern Drive, Altamont Springs. Yes. Yeah, they're gonna update all the, obviously in the front of the convenience store is all mostly glass, but all of the hard areas, we're gonna be upgrading, new colors, new paint, fixed up to look much nicer, especially on the side. It'll be brought up. The giant driveway that's out there right now is gonna be removed, and it's gonna be much safer. The whole new canopy, matching colors for the canopy. And the building colors will also match up with the new buildings, with the what's out there right now.
They've also taken into account, I don't know if you recall, that we sold the property to the southeast of Sandpiper and Park Ave, and we are jogging Sandpiper a little bit to the south, right at the between these two, so that we're taking into account, we're going to be putting in a traffic signal at that location, right there. So that'll help with traffic, but they did take that into account also. So it's be a vast improvement from compared to what is there right this minute.
Yeah, so it sounds like a major upgrade in that whole corner.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Good,
Yep.
that's what we want.
I
Yeah.
don't know if this is a question for staff or the applicant, but wasn't that a service station at one point years
was,
ago? And then
yeah.
they removed the pumps and the tanks?
Yes, sir. And what happens is that this type of zoning district requires a special exception for that. So they're coming back in to basically put back in what they have, but also do some big improvements for the entire site versus just using this is only, originally it was only using, like about a quarter of the site. And so this is a good improvement for that area.
Understood. All right. Any more questions of the applicant?
I have a question. I don't know if the applicant or maybe you can answer it. When convenience stores and whatnot go up, are we using septet concepts or any of the septet?
Typically, when we review the plans, we are looking at the septet is crime prevention through environmental design. We always look at those for security reasons. The courtyard area in the middle, that's going to be their main parking area where their doors are going to be. So that'll have, just based on the different tenants that they have, they'll be able to keep track of each other, that way. And then the backside, provided it keeps open, this doesn't really, they did put in retention ponds on the far east side, so there's really no issue on that part. The southern side still has sandpiper for exposure. The north side has the major entrance areas, so everything is kept open. We keep the shrubs and things are no higher than 3 feet typically for just for security purposes.
Correct.
Yep.
I get it, okay.
Good.
Yeah, we also tried to align that building in the back, put an alleyway, kind of call it an alleyway between the buildings. So not only you can have visibility all the way to the back, but so that, you can see.
Does
They
the
came
lighting as well does the city require
Yes.
the,
Yep.
okay,
Lighting all has to be part of that.
okay.
That's a good question. I like septet stuff, so. Got certified a long time ago, and I always look at the site plans with that in mind.
It's still around.
Anyone else?
Yes, how many gas pumps are there gonna be?
Do you remember?
Developer of the property speak, so I don't know for sure myself.
Good evening. This is Rob Basru representing the applicant, Investment Group Management LLC. To your question, there will be 3 dispensers, 6
Maybe
fueling
6?
positions.
I'm sorry, you said 6?
Yeah, 3 fueling positions, 6 fueling positions, and 3 dispensers.
Okay, so then that's considered 6 extra parking spots,
Correct.
correct? And was that in consideration with your ADA compliance for parking?
Yes, we do have separate ADA compliance, yes.
I mean, I really think this building number 1 needs another accessible parking spot, instead of just that one, because of the heavy traffic going in and out of that convenience store.
How many parking do we have?
We are required to have 82, and we have 82.
I'm sorry?
We're required to have 82 parking spaces, and we have 82 with 6 handicap spaces. So we're over quite a bit on handicap. We're
No,
only
yeah, it's
required-
okay to go over.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to be at the minimum. And I encourage you to go over when you need to. My suggestion was building 1 needed 2 of them instead of 1. Because of the traffic flow.
For clarification, you're referring to the southwestern building?
It says in building number 1, yeah.
Okay.
It says right on here, building number 1. Would you take that in consideration?
It's possible. I'm just looking to see where they could make it up.
So 82 spots is, and that includes the 6 pumps, correct?
No, 3 dispensers, 6 fueling positions. So actually, the fueling dispenser, the pumps, would be only 3.
I know, but there were 6 spots.
No,
Each
you've
spot
got
is-
both sides. That's 6
Yeah,
parking
that's-
spaces.
those are
So
all
they're,
considered-
they're overparked. The big question is, once you put in another accessible parking space, that usually takes out 2 parking spaces because you're looking at 17 feet instead of 8 or 9.
Right.
So in order to try to put 1 more parking spot for accessibility in building 1, you've got to take 2 other spots out. And then they would be below in terms of the required parking spaces.
I see. We need to fix that somehow.
We can look at that. I mean,
Yeah.
if we had to, we could put another one in the back. I mean, it's just, you know,
Might be able to get,
I like the
you might
other-
be able to get another spot in on that southeastern
Yeah,
side.
yeah.
I just
Yeah,
looked
'cause
at
I've only
that.
got 8 in a row there.
Yeah, you got 8 there, so you could add another one there.
Yeah, that looks like
There we
there's
go.
room for 1 more there. Thank you, Mr. Hood.
Sure. I always look at stuff, it's, second set of eyes always helps.
I was afraid you were going to say, please put in a charging vehicle. No, that's required in winter parking.
Yeah, you can, we encourage that.
No, that's.
No, we really do. It's,
No, we can entertain that.
Do any more
I would
questions
probably
of
put that on the
applicant?
other building, because usually at a
correct,
gas station, they're there in and out. But your other tenants coming in might want one, yeah.
Yeah.
I talked to Tesla, they're putting them in a lot of different places for free, so,
No, we'll definitely look into it, if we can do it.
yeah,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll brag on you.
Thank you. Any more questions of the applicant? All right, open the public hearing. Does anyone here need to speak on this matter? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Can I get a motion on this?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve the special exception to allow an automobile service station in the community commercial district, CC zoning district, for property located at 803 North Park Avenue.
Have a motion by Commissioner Stanley. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Ryan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next, we have a major development plan of Acura, is that saying that correctly?
I think it's Aquara Estates.
Aquara
Yeah.
Estates. Major development plan, owners, Evermeadow LLC, Village of Fame LLC, Corey and Silter, PE, and Kimberly Horn and Associates, Inc.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bobby Howell, Planning Manager for the record. Major development plan has been submitted for a residential subdivision consisting of 76 single-family lots, developed in one phase, located west of Jason Dwelly Parkway, and is adjacent to the Orchid Estates subdivision. The property is zoned RSF1B. You can probably recall last summer, this property came before the board, and the rezoning to RSF1B was approved last summer by this board and then the city council subsequently. Applicant is proposing a minimum lot area of 9,750 square feet for the subdivision. Access is via Tigris Drive. Internal streets are dedicated to the public. 5-foot wide sidewalks are provided on both sides of the internal streets. A 155-foot-long right turn lane leading from Jason Dwelly Parkway to Tigris Drive is proposed as part of the construction. Additionally, a 205-foot-long left turn lane leading from Jason Dwelly Parkway to Tigris Drive is proposed as part of the site construction, and those turn lanes are detailed on the construction plans that you're considering this evening. 2 stormwater ponds are proposed in tracts that are owned and maintained by the Homeowners Association. The applicant is proposing a tot lot on tract Rec 1, in addition to passive open space that is located on the tract. The tract is owned and maintained by the Homeowners Association. The Development Review Committee recommends approval, and the recommended motion this evening is to recommend approval of the Aquara Estates Major Development Plan. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
All right, if you could hold for 1 minute. This is a quasi-judicial, so is there any affected parties here today? And I need to ask, has staff had any ex parte communication on this matter?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Does staff have any question, or does the board have any questions of staff? Is the applicant present? Name and address for the record, please, sir.
Good evening. Corey Sittler, 5107 Laval Drive, Orlando, Florida. Just wanted to say that we agree with staff's recommendations, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Ready? Any questions from the board?
No, sir.
Seeing none, open the public hearing. Does anyone from the public have a comment? Seeing none, we'll close that, bring it back to the board for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend approval of the Acura Estates Major Development Plan.
We have a motion by Commissioner Washington. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Stanley. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Fourth item is a Mid-Florida Logistics Park Lot 2 Major Development Plan. Owner UFC Hotel Venture 2, Dave Schmidt Engineering, care of Dave Schmidt PE. This is a quasi-judicial. Is there any affected parties here? Have any of staff had ex parte communication on this matter?
No, sir.
Yeah.
Bobby, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Once again, Bobby Howell. Subject property is located at 3101 Shelby Industrial Parkway, which is Lot 2 of the Mid-Florida Logistics Park, which is located off the 429 and is very visible from that highway. The major development plan details the development of an industrial building totaling 138,500 square feet on 16.66 acres. The proposed use of the building is a laundry facility for Lowe's Hotels. An area located on the east side of the building is proposed for future building area and future expansion of the building. Total of 150 regular and truck parking spaces are provided and 6 accessible parking spaces are provided. Stormwater is proposed for discharge in a master stormwater pond, which is designed as part of the Mid-Florida Logistics Park subdivision. Architectural elevations are consistent with the subdivision, the industrial buildings that you see that are constructed out in the Mid-Florida Logistics Park at this time. The Development Review Committee recommends approval, and the recommended motion this evening is to recommend approval of the Mid-Florida Logistics Park Lot 2 Major Development Plan. Staff and applicant are available for questions.
Thank you. Does anybody have questions of staff?
No, sir.
Is the applicant available? Name and address for the record, sir, please.
My name is Max Heridin, 3821 Avalon Park, East Boulevard, Orlando, Florida, 32828. I'll be to answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions of the applicant? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here from the public we should speak on this matter? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the board for a motion.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to approval of the Mid-Florida Logistics Park Lot 2 major development plan.
Have a motion by Commissioner Stanley. Do I have a second?
No second.
Second by Commissioner Ryan. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Do we have any old business? Ma'am, I saw that you come back in. Do you have another question or a comment? Okay. I do have one comment. We talked quite a bit about traffic and traffic studies. Mrs. Richardson is going to come here at our next meeting and give a presentation and have a Q&A with us to try and explain the process and where in the process that we do the planning for the traffic and where that applies, and she's going to try and clarify that and help us with that. So next meeting, that'll be the last agenda item.
Very good.
All right. Anything else?
Thank you for chairing the meeting.
Yay. All right. Closed.
Good job, Wayne.